Hi, and welcome to Tanesha's Tips.
Said it's Tanesha's tip. Coming all three speakers. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured. They all getting featured. Said it's Tanesha's tip. Coming all three speakers. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured. Yeah. It's your girl Tanesha, straight magic. The greatest book reviews, let's get at it. She not here to offend, she just honest. Bringing words that may leave you astonished. And plus she do shows. She cover all like hands, knees, and toes. Don't lollygag, no, she just roll. Then it's on to the next one, on to a fresh one. Said it's on to the next one, on to a fresh one. Tanesha's tip, coming all three speakers. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured. Said it's Tanesha's tip, coming all three speakers. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured. Yeah. Hey. It ain't for the clout, it's honest. See the truth when you look beyond it. Book shows, not to mention movies. She give or take in a great way, you'll see. Check it out, see if you agree. If you vibe, guess it's meant to be. And baby, you don't even need the script. Learn it all with Tanesha's tips. Tanesha's tip, coming all three speakers. Yeah. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured.
So, today we're going to be doing a review or movie review on I Thought My Husband's Wife Was Dead. This is a Lifetime movie featuring or starring LaToya Luckett. And so I actually wanted to watch this when it came out, but I forgot, and so I had to catch it on the replay basically. So I watched it on the app today, and I want to give a review of this movie. Now, I think that I have been choosing movies that are honestly have some comedic relief because just the title alone is like, what? So anyway, as I said, it's on Lifetime and you guys can view it at your own leisure. Basically the premise of the movie is that this guy was married to another lady, and that happens to be LaToya. Her name is Victoria Knight, I guess, because she was married to Leo Knight. And I guess they went on a trip and she did not come back. She ended up being kidnapped and tortured for like over 5 years. Finally, she escaped and made her way back to find her husband, who had then remarried. Come to find out, he remarried another lady named Layla, and Layla is pregnant. So when she shows up at the doorstep in the middle of the night, Leo was at work, like on a work trip or whatever, and wouldn't be back for like 2 days or so. So she told the lady, "Well, I thought you were dead," and this and that and the third. She went and got her pow pow, and just so happened, LaToya was like, "I'm not doing this. I need to talk to Leo or whatever." So she went away, went in search. She actually was living in some kind of public bathroom, but that was horrible. But yeah, she was living in the public bathroom for a while, and then she decided, okay, I need to get a job because I have no money or anything. So she was at the library trying to look for a job. Now she don't have an address or anything, so this obviously was hard. But the library attendant, who happens to be impaired, tried to get her off the computer, but it was kind of like he snuck up on her and kind of touched her arm to tell her that there were other people waiting. But she jumped, and I guess when she jumped, she kind of snapped at him, and then she said, "I'm sorry, I'll be good." It was so sad. But anyway, long story short, she had to leave. She ends up walking in the rain and coming up on a salon, a hair salon that had a help wanted sign up. She stuck her head in the window, and the lady saw her and told her to come in. So when she came in, she was like, "Oh, you want your hair done?" And she was like, "No, actually, I saw your help wanted sign or whatever." Well, the lady, I guess she had like a premonition that like something was wrong. She was running from something or whatever, because she was very like standoffish, which you could tell something had happened. And then she was looking very unkempt. So anyway, she told the lady, she was like, I don't have an address. I can't use my social security number because she was gonna have her fill out a form. She said, well, I can't pay you cash because I don't need no trouble from the IRS anymore. She said, but I got a room back there that you can sleep in and whatever. And she said you can work here, I guess for the room and board. So she ended up hugging her and was like, "Oh, thank you," or whatever. So the lady, she knew, and her name was Corinne. She knew right off the bat that she had a story and something happened, but she was like, "I'm not gonna pry. She'll tell me what she wants to tell me." So anyway, the next day, she does show up at the ex husband's or the husband's house because they ain't really exes really because they said that she was deceased. Anyway, so she ends up talking to the the new wife a little bit, and she was like, um well, she was basically threatened, you know what I mean, like, why is she here, da da da. Come to find out, she actually goes to the salon that Victoria is um working at, and she knows everybody in there. Now, I'm telling you, like, all this stuff is like, wow. And it's basically like maybe five or six main characters or five or six characters that even matter anyway. But at the salon, it was another girl working as a makeup consultant, happens to be Black China. But anyway, she was very skeptical of Victoria, who is now going by Tori, right? So everybody else called her Vicky, but her dad called her Tori. So it just made sense to go by Tori. So it ends up where the new wife, she is at the salon and she's kind of being mean in a way and treating Tori like she's less than. Well, push comes to shove, and she stands up and she says something rude, and then Tori says something back to her. Now all of a sudden, she has a sharp pain in her stomach. So now they're saying, "Oh, somebody has to take her somebody has to take her to the hospital." It happens to be Tori has to take her because she's the assistant, or kind of like doing janitorial work, but assistant as well, because she was going to just, you know, clean up after them and go get their lunch when they're too busy, and just all the stuff that happens in between. So anyway, she ends up taking her to the hospital, even though it's awkward. And she gets her home and she says, you should call your husband. Is he gonna come? And she was like, no, I'll be fine. She said, no, I don't think you should stay by yourself. So she ends up staying with her, ends up making her a sandwich and everything. But she also ends up going through the house and just looking, and she ends up washing her clothes or the jumpsuit that she had, and getting some of the clothes that the new wife has. And for some reason, the new wife has a fetish for white. Everything in her wardrobe is white, which was crazy. Anyway, fast forward because I'm going to get to it, and I don't want to take up the whole time just telling you scene by scene. But what ends up happening is the husband comes back. He realizes that his wife is not dead. She cuts him because he walks up on her or whatever and scares her too. So he then goes and search for his wife because he's thinking that she did something to the wife, and which is so far fetched. So anyway, so Victoria or Tori ends up telling him, "Listen, you owe me money, or you have three cars out there, so you should give me at least a car, and I want XYZ amount of money or whatever." He was like, "Well, I can't do that. We have a restaurant." So Tori always liked food. She always wanted to work in a restaurant or own a restaurant. So it just so happened that he was like, "Okay, we're gonna hire you as the chef." She goes in to work as a chef, and then he starts paying her money. And every week, like, she's not saying anything to him, she just goes in and she grabs the envelope of cash. Now there's another guy that works there. His name is Mark S, and he's like maybe assistant manager or something, because he also works in the same office as her husband Leo. And so he starts talking to her and telling her all these things. And he just seems like he has so much information. He was like sketched from for me he was sketched from the beginning. So he was telling how he, helped search and do all this X, Y, and Z. But then it just so happened that he all of a sudden started showing up in different places where she was, and just weird. So He also asked her out, and she was like, oh no, like she was weirded out from guys. So she ended up telling him, no, I just like you as a friend or whatever. And why are you showing up in different places with me? He was like, well, I just noticed that you act really strange when Leo comes around, and he was giving you big stashes of money or whatever every Friday. And you guys really wasn't talking, but every time he comes around, you act like really, really sketch. So anyway, she was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Well, when he showed up at her doctor's office, so what ended up happening is she goes to this free clinic or whatever, because they had like free every month, one Saturday of the month. She wanted to go in and see if she could still have children. When it came down to having the exam, she was very timid. So the doctor was like, let me go get a lady. So he wanted her to open her robe. And so when she opened her robe, something was going on with her stomach, and it was whatever they saw. They were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so she ended up taking a test, getting her blood work done and everything, and leaving. And the nurse walks out and stops her and says, hey, you might want to go see my therapist, because she helped me get out of a abusive relationship as well. Fast forward, this is where she does go to the lady. She talks to her. She said, oh, you're doing so well, and you should heal before you try to get into a relationship with anybody or whatever. And she said, I thought you said that I was doing well. And they had a little smirk. But then when she left there, Mark S, all of a sudden, he showed up again. What are you doing? And so he made it seem like, oh well, I've been talking to Dr. Moss before you, I guess. But I was just like, you know what? Don't be lying, sir. I don't even know why you showing up. But anyway, that's just me. So after that, she ends up finding his Facebook account or something, or his Instagram, and he had all these little clips about, how they were out searching for, Victoria, and how she was, kidnapped, or something happened and she disappeared. Okay. So now we start getting to the meat and potatoes, and she starts putting things together. She figures out like who the real monster was, because that's what she called the person who kidnapped her was a monster, because they tortured her, and they just show little glimpses and pieces of things that happened to her, but not like in depth. So anyway, she finds out, she puts two and two together after working at the restaurant for so long or whatever. She finds out that, first of all, her husband that got his new wife pregnant, he don't even want kids. And then she ends up putting two and two together, that he was the one that actually had her, had kidnapped her and tortured her. So she starts telling him, yeah, you had a $2 million life insurance policy on me. You need to give me 500,000 by Friday. He was like, where am I going to get that money? She was like, I don't know. The restaurant is doing good. You could find it or whatever. But as I said, by Friday, as I'm telling everybody. So he didn't want that or whatever. Okay. Well, Mark still ain't learned his lesson. He done broke into Leo's computer and figured out his password. Let her know that he maxed out all his credit cards and took out another $2 million on her, on the new wife. And so she was like, oh my gosh, let me go check on her and the baby, because she all of a sudden had the baby again. Every time Victoria came around, then for some reason it stressed her. So she was a high risk pregnancy, had been on bed rest or whatever. So when Latoya came to the house prior to finding out all the information, her water broke. So then she finds out this information from Mark S. Going back, she finds out this information from Mark S. And she ends up going to the house to check on Layla and the new baby. She gets there, and she's trying to warn Layla, hey, your husband, I know who kidnapped me, who did all this stuff to me. It was Leo. She was like, oh no, he never hurt me. He never did this. No, she planned a part and everything. What ended up happening was she what ends up happening was she ends up tying her up and telling her that, oh no, my husband didn't do anything. The husband comes in, tries to do his whole thing or whatever, but the wife ends up taking him out. Then Victoria walks in and sees that he's on the floor and he's, gone. And she's like, okay, what happened? So again, she ties her up and she tried to take her out. She was telling her that, oh, well, the joke's on you because I was the one that had the mastermind. I was the one that told him to do this. And I met him before you and had this whole elaborate story. You got to go look at it because it was just crazy. It was just like, are we shooting a CoverGirl commercial? Or what are we doing? Because they had the wind blowing and all kinds of dumb stuff. Anyway, like I said, this story has some comedic relief in it or whatever, but the title alone was like, oh Lord, what are we doing? So, long story short, uh, Victoria was smart enough to tell Mark S, if you don't hear from me in this amount of time, send the man, the boys, send them boys, because you know something going on. And sure enough, she had the knife, and the other one had the pow pow, and they came in right on time, and the wife went to jail. She did. Okay. I failed to mention that during this whole thing, the wife wanted to be on some reality show or whatever because she thought she was just the stuff. Ends up, Victoria took the new baby and raised the baby on her own. She ends up getting a reality show, shows up at the correctional facility so she could see, so Layla could see her baby. She also invited the lady that she was talking to, the executive producer of the reality show, because the girl wanted to be on TV so bad. And they ended up recording her at the jail. Anyway, joke was on her because they recorded her and she lost it. Okay. And so, but when they made it out, she was like, I can't do this. I just want to be myself or whatever. I don't want to be on a reality show. That's how it ended. It was a mess. But anyway, comedic relief, just the same. You should watch it. It's on Lifetime. It's free now. If you have the app, you can go get it and stream it on your TV. That's what I did. And I don't know. There's another one for the books, I guess. But thank you. I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you think. If you've seen it, I really want to hear what you think. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then comment. Bye.
And plus she do shows. She cover all like hands, knees, and toes. Don't lollygag, no, she just roll. Then the song to the next one, on to a fresh one. Ha. Set it on to the next one, on to a fresh one. Tanesha's tip, coming all 3 speakers. Good honest reviews, book shows, and the movies all getting featured.